Hey guys, welcome to today's video. And in today's video we'll be making the two-piece that you saw on the video thumbnail. And if this looks like something you'd be interested in learning, please keep on watching. So for this, first I have my drafting paper, and then I also have my measurement on this book. So the first thing we go on to do is to take out the original length for this shirt. For the body part of this dress, I'm going to use my bust circumference divided by 4 with an addition of 2 inches. So when I divide by 4, I have 10. Then when I add 2, I have 12. So I go on here to mark out using 12. So guys, after we've measured this, we'll go on to cut it out. So guys, this is what we'll be working with for this project. Then first thing we do is now go on to measure out that 10 inches and then fold this bottom here in by the remaining 2 inches. So we're going to work with the 10 inches. Now this 2 inches that we're folding in is going to be the bottom part of this dress, or of the shirt rather. This here is our 10 inches that we're going to be working with for this shirt. As you can see, our toe has been folded in. Continuing with this shirt, we'll go on to measure out our shoulder divided by 2, shoulder length divided by 2. For me, that is 8.5 inch, which will be this. Then from this point here, we go on to also mark out the neck line for this, which is going to be 3 inches, and this here is our 3 inches. Then we'll also bring it down here by 3 inches. Now because this is a shirt, you don't want the neck to be too wide, so this is what we have here. Now we'll come on to this shoulder point, which we've marked here, and drop it by 1 inch, which is our shoulder slant. And from this point here, we'll go on to measure out our chest line. For me, the chest line is going to be on this 9-inch point here. Now we'll go on to join all of our points together. And from this point here, we've measured out our chest line. Then we pick our bust line, waistline, and then to the end of this dress, which will be our hip line. So this here is my bust line, and then for my waistline I use this, and then to the end of this dress. So let's also go on to make lines on this point here. And this here is all we have for this. So we're going to join this shoulder slant to the chest line, just like so. And this is what we're going to have. Now on this shoulder point here, we'll divide the shoulder slant measurement by half, which is going to be 4.5, and then we'll go in by a 1/2 inch measurement, which is this, and then we go on to curve out this measurement, ensuring that these 3 points meet. So guys, our slanted measurements will be for the shoulder armhole will be looking somewhat like this. So it's going to be my bust line divided by 4. And I'll go on to link all these points on my drafting paper. This bottom side of my paper, I don't want it having these points like this, so I'm going to come to this bottom part of this, and I'm going to raise it by 1 inch. Now after raising it by 1 inch, I'm going to curve it into the bottom of this shirt, just like this. So on this point, I'm going to use my marker to just blend it out, and this is what the bottom of my shirt will look like. Now we'll also come back to the top of this shirt, and as you can see, I'm here to cut out my my neckline. So I'm just going to go on to trim this, and all we have for the front part of my shirt. Now I'll go on to place on the part that should be for the back of the shirt. But this time around, for the back of the shirt, we're not going to have an a 2-inch allowance like we did for the front of this shirt. Go on to place the back on the front, just as you can see, like this. Now, one thing we'll also go on to do is we're going to take out a 1/2 inch measurement on this front part here, but let's just go on to mark it out instead. On this end here, we're going to also mark out 10 inches. Now, don't forget that we will not be using 2-inch like we did for the back part. Why? Because the back is not going to have a button allowance like the front did. So we go on here and measure out the 10-inch. Now, from this point here, we'll also measure the neckline just like we used for the front, which is this 3, and then also go on to take out for the shoulder section, which I used 8.5 to do. Now on this 8.5 point, we'll go on to drop the shoulder by 1 inch, just like we also did for the front, and then we will connect the shoulder part here to meet on this 3-inch line, just like this. And then we'll go on to trim out for this shoulder part, just like this. So guys, now that we have done this, don't forget that we also still have 2 inches to this. Now we'll go on to place the front part on the back side, just like so. And for this part here, we will go on to bend in this measurement, this back side, to meet with this front on that slanted line that we drew, just like this. Either use a pin or a sellotape to tape it on this neck point. We'll go on to extend this point just like this, making it a straight line, but we are not going to use it as a straight line. So we're going to ensure that it is joining on this point here, just like this, but we're also still going to curve it in. Working with, now we use our free hand to draw a curve so that it curves into the neckline that is supposed to be for the back side, and this is what we have, just like this. So now we will go on to trim out the back part and then the neck side as well, then also using the same measurement to trim out for. So guys, as you can see, we have cut out the back part. Now we'll also go on to trim out this neckline for the front side as we have it. And now this is what we have for our shirt pattern. So guys, now that this is the front and the back, as you can see, I have opened out the 2 inches that we had initially, and now I'm just going to go on to label it front, and then this is the back. So now I'm going to set it aside and cut out the skirt part of these 2 pieces. We're making a bandless skirt, and so first thing I do is I go on to bend the bottom of this, as you can see. The first thing I do is go on to bend the bottom of this skirt part, just as you can see, like this. Then I measure out the full length of the skirt and add a 1/2 inch, as you can see at the bottom here. And then because it is going to be a bandless skirt, I'm just going to go on to mark out the length of this skirt at the top here. So here we've marked out the length of this skirt, and then we go on to take out the hip point, and from here I'm going to be using 10. So mark it out here on the 10 line, just as you can see, and then we're going to curve it into the bottom of the skirt. Now we'll go on to take out our waist measurement divided by 4. So guys, we're going to mark out our waist measurement, which is this, as you can see, and then we'll do the same thing for the hip part, even up until the bottom of this skirt. So this is a midi skirt. So guys, let's go on to curve it out. because it's also going to be a pencil skirt. Now this is the skirt in the actual measurement, and then we're going to add 2 inches for sewing allowance. So now we'll go on to trim out the skirt as we have shaped it. If your fabric is like mine that looks a bit similar back and front, you can go on to make markings on the back part, just so that you don't confuse it for the front. So now that we're done cutting out for the skirt, we go on to nudge on this point here, which for the front side is the middle and for the back side is the beginning of the skirt allowance. And then we also measure in 3.5 inches, just like this, and then nudge for the dart point that is going to be on the skirt, just as we have it here. And then from this point here, I'm going to measure down 22 inches, because this is where I want my slit on the skirt to start from. So I'm going to make a marking here. So from this point, I'm going to cut out this part just like this, because I do not want the slit, I don't want it to have folds at the bottom of the slit of the skirt. And then from this top side, I'm just going to blend it out to meet with the zip allowance. And so we are done cutting for the skirt. So now we'll move on to cutting the lining for the skirt. So guys, as you can see, I've taken this to the machine and I have stitched it up, and this is the front of the skirt and this is the back of the skirt. Like you can see, I mentioned bandless skirt, so this is going to be the beginning of the skirt, and you can already see the darts which I have put in place, and this is what the front part looks like. And then as you can also see, the same thing has been done for the back, even up to the zip allowance. And now we're supposed to shape this skirt. But before we shape this skirt part, on the front side of this skirt, you notice a fabric that went from the left to right, like a little bit of wrapper. And now that's what we want to do on this side. For this, I have cut out this short piece of fabric, because my fabric is almost even finished. So I have cut out this short piece of fabric, and this is what we're going to use to drape from this left to right side, just like this. So now we'll go on to squeeze this a bit on the side, because I'm going to shape this in with the skirt. So we're going to squeeze this a little, or pleat this a little on the side, just so that it gives that bit of wrapper feel. So as we're doing this, we'll also use our pin to pin it down in place. It was actually wider than this, but because of my fabric is very small, I'm going to be working with this. So on this side of the skirt, when it has been joined together, it is going to look something like this, and it's going to drop, just to give it that that wrapper vibe. Now that we have done this part, I'll go on to put the back on the top of the skirt, and then pin it in place to ensure that the middles are together, that lines are together, and that it is perfectly in the middle. So guys, now that we have this skirt all pinned up, we'll go on to shaping the skirt from the top to the bottom side. And please make sure that you're using exact measurements, because since this is a bandless skirt, you want it to be very fit on the waist side. So now that we have this shaped out, we'll go on to run this on the machine. Hey guys, so now that the skirt has been sewn and all of the points attached together, this is what we have for the skirt. As you can see, the piece that we attached to the side, which we're going to take to be like this, and we're going to attach it to this side just so that it can also drop and give that illusion of a wrapper. And then, like we mentioned, bandless skirt, you can see what the inside looks like after the zip has been attached and all, and this is what we have. So we do not have to bother with band. Like I mentioned, this is a bandless skirt. This is the bottom of our skirt also after it has been turned. You can also see our allowance.